This week, we are featuring some of our greatest hits, the best of the WRAL Daily Download. Listen again, or if you missed them the first time, check them out.
Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Debra Morgan. This is part 2 of my interview with former Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski, recorded earlier in January. If you haven't heard that episode yet, check it out. In this episode, Coach K talks about motivation, the Final Four, and his dog, Coach. Take a listen.
Does it get confusing with the name Coach around your house?
No, I was never called Coach. I was called a lot of different names in my house. Some of them were nice, but never Coach. So I was, when we got Coach at our basketball banquet in last April, we were surprised. In fact, the lady who is a great dog trainer for us, she was talking to some people, and she was with Coach, and says, "You mean a 75-year-old couple got a lab puppy? Are they nuts?" And but he's really grown. He's 85 pounds now. He's really a good athlete. I love him, and we're happy we got him. He had a thing called separation anxiety to begin with, and it can be a really bad thing. And our trainer and our vet are fantastic, and they were able to get him out of it. And but it fills your house with life. And he's a silver lab. He looks a lot more like Cameron, who was our chocolate. Then Blue was our yellow, and Defense was our black lab.
Is he your buddy, though, now? I mean,
yeah,
you said you love him.
Yeah, because I'm on the road a lot, and sometimes when we go, we have to leave him with our trainer. We're still developing that relationship, but he knows his home. He knows, and he's a responsibility too. So, but it's a good responsibility.
Good. Take me back to the last season. I used to watch you and Mickey. You would always look for her, like at halftime or after a game or before a game. You'd be with her. But I felt like this last season that you coached, you were always wanting her by your side. How important is it to have Mickey there with you?
Well, this last season, I would credit Mickey more than me with it. I think she made a commitment that a lot of times she didn't go on the road, partly because of crowds. A lot of them
they were not nice.
A little hostile, and anyway, it wasn't worth it. But this year, pretty much she traveled, and it was the last go around. And so she, as close as she's been all the time, she, I think, became even closer. And I think she wanted to be there for me when I needed that, and I usually needed it. And so that was a good thing. The last year, because of the succession plan, like, we didn't do this to have like a long farewell. Like, I don't need that. But the people who want to knock you or whatever, they're going to say whatever. But we came up with a succession plan, and to me, having a couple great recruiting years by the time I stepped down was more important than like if I made the decision at the end of the year, we would not have that recruiting year. And John would not have had the ability to learn more during that time. It was more of a business decision, but then it became, where's Coach K going to be, and what gift do we have to give him? And we appreciate all that, don't get me wrong. But the purpose was a business decision, and I think that worked out very, very well. And so, you know, my family has traveled when we won Olympic gold medals, and they've been in, God bless them, man, they've been in so many situations where they're in support and feel pressure and want me to do well, and you know, I've appreciated that. I really think it made us even closer as a family, and so, but Mickey's been the key component with that, because she's, I really had a lot of times tunnel vision in preparation, and sometimes she says, you know, get out of the tunnel. You need to look at this. I said, I can't get out of the tunnel very long here, or else we may not end up in a good spot. She's been a great partner, and you know, we've been together for 53 years. And graduation day, West Point, we got married, and for us, we knew right away it was going to be a team. It couldn't be an individual career. You know, that she was going to be an integral part of our career.
That's so wonderful. It's always wonderful for me to see you all together.
Thank you.
You made it to the Final Four, so that was an exciting part of your last season for sure. Were you disappointed that it fell short?
Yeah, because you want to win the national championship. You know, getting to a Final Four is like Mecca for a coach, a program, and because you win, when you go to the Final Four, there are 4 champions going to the Final Four of each region, and to do that, and the run we had to do that was outstanding. You know, when we lost in the Final Four to North Carolina, you know, a lot of people, well, I'm glad people put a lot about North Carolina and Duke rivalry. But the biggest disappointment for me is not playing in the national championship game. You know, whoever we would have lost to would have been a disappointment, because that's the thing you want. We've won 5 of them. We had a chance to play for our 6th, and we're denied that by an outstanding team and a great game.
Would you have changed anything about your coaching that day?
Probably one of the officials. I would have changed. You know, the game is it's always moving in a number of different directions. In that particular game, you know, Mark's fouls, and I'm not saying he didn't foul, really had an impact on us, and we were right there, and we missed, and they hit, and they won. And sometimes it's just that simple. It's not like a kid was so bad or you made horrendous decisions or whatever. I thought it was an epic game. And I said something after the game that I've lived my whole life. It's an honor to be in the arena. Not many people are in the arena. And when you're in the arena, you're not in the arena alone, whether it's an individual competition or a team competition. And so if you are in that arena, you better respect the other team or person in the arena. And when that contest is done, handle it that way. And I couldn't be more proud of the arena I was in that night and the team that we shared it with. The team we shared it with, we've shared in epic games for decades. You know, it was only appropriate, and one of us was going to win. They did, and so congratulations. And you know, but I love that it ended. Not obviously we would have won the national. I've loved that it ended at that level. It didn't end where we didn't make the tournament or we got upset, or, you know, I was proud of my guys. They were balling like crazy afterwards. And that made me feel good, because that means it meant that much.
We'll be right back with more of my conversation with Coach K and his thoughts on that last home game at Cameron Indoor Stadium against Carolina. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download as I continue my conversation with former Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski.
I wanted to talk to you about motivation of players, because I've heard you talk about this, especially with NIL right now, and what motivates those young men to be out there on the court and play at the top level. Do you find that that's lacking, or that you have to do more teaching to get them to appreciate being in that arena?
Yeah, motivation is a great thing. Hopefully a player will bring a certain level of their own motivation. If you are the only one who is providing the motivation, that's not going to work out to the level that it should. And I talk to each one of my guys about that. I'm going to be enthusiastic about coaching you. You have to be enthusiastic about being coached and working. And then, boy, I wonder where our enthusiasm will go. And with motivation, there's individual and collective motivation. And so for individual, I need to know who you are. You need to let me in. And you may be ultra confident. You may be afraid a little bit of making mistakes. It varies. So to say this is the one way to motivate a player is wrong. It's personalized. Same thing with the team. Does the team have leadership already? What is the personality, or does it have a personality yet? So to me, it's incredibly interesting. It's essential. I mean, we did it with our U.S. teams. Kobe Bryant, who I coached twice in 12 and in 8 and 12 for the Olympics in Beijing and London. Jamie, my daughter, wrote a book on the 2008 team, the gold standard. And Kobe told her, he says, I get paid to play. I get paid a lot. And your dad and his staff tries to motivate us every day. He said, it's such a good thing. And so I think people should not assume that someone who is talented or is really up there doesn't need something more, and or to help them, and they will give it back. And I love that aspect of teaching and leadership. And there's motivation and there's inspiration. Inspiration, a lot of times we would do things with tape to try to put them in the moment. Like for the gold medal games in our five gold medals, 3 Olympics, 2 Worlds, we hit on a thing with Marvin Gaye singing the national anthem in the 1980s. And we showed our guys in different scenes, they're in that. And we showed it at one practice for the 2008 team. And I said, come on over here. I get chills thinking about it, and we had a TV on the side. And I said, this is going to be our fight song. It's going to be played before every game. And you're going to feel really proud about playing for the United States. And boom, that goes on. And these guys were like that. And so before we got on the bus to go to a game for those gold medals, that was one of the things we did. It's those moments, I mean, that's inspiration. They're already motivated. Mm-hmm. Inspiration takes that motivation to another level.
I know we're running out of time. I also wanted to ask you what ring you're wearing right now.
Oh, well, let me show you these. These 2 rings I never take off. They're my wedding ring. Mm-hmm. And my wedding ring is curved a little bit to fit my West Point ring. And my West Point ring used to have a black stone, and I did take it off at one time because the stone broke. And Mickey had, the Duke stone, putting it. So it's my three families, my own family, West Point family, and Duke. The ring I'm wearing today is one of my Olympic rings. This is from the Redeem team, 2008. And sometimes I always wear these, but I don't even know why I wore it today. But sometimes you just put it on and it makes you think, you know, of that team. You know, when we talk about big wins and big losses, a tough loss for me was my last game in Cameron. It was built to be way beyond what it should be, and about 100 of our former players were back, and we had already clinched the regular season, and so we still want to beat Carolina and whatever, and it's the last game, and there was so much hoopla about the game, and I fell into a little bit of a trap, not a little bit of a trap, but a trap that I should not have fallen into, and that we were prepared, but I didn't prepare them to the level that they should have been prepared, especially you're going to be in this, you're going to feel that. You know, I could have helped them.
That atmosphere was
different.
Talk about epic. That was epic.
Yeah. And besides, North Carolina was great, and they are they're really good. And then adding the pressure, especially late in the game when it was a close game. And after the game, I was did what human beings do. I felt that I was let down by like I would not have let down my coach and all that. And that was the wrong reaction. And then a lot of times when I don't give the right reaction to a team after watching tape or spending time that night, or you stay up most of the night, you know, sometime like 3 in the morning, it hits you like, all right, you were an idiot. It's all on you. What a learning experience. You know, again, you lost that game, but there's still more to go. And then I had to try to get my team back from what I put them in. The loss put them in one spot, but I put them in a worse spot. And it took a while. It took us, you know, we didn't play that well in the ACC tournament. We almost won it, but by the NCAAs, we were back. And going through that experience made us tougher, but I would have rather not have gone through that experience. You know, and it shows that you coach 1,600 games or more, you win a lot, and you still make mistakes. And you should be accountable for them and responsible for them. And then you learn from them and move on. Like, I don't look back and say, man, come on, man. There's a lot. Then I should be thinking about all the ones we won.
Right.
You know,
talk about human nature. Usually human nature is to focus on the bad, the losses.
But then, Debra, what I do is I have a thing called next play. Like, let's get on to the next play. Learn from the play before, and there was a lot to learn from that. And then let's see how we can make it work going forward.
Would you have rather won that last game in Cameron or been at the Final Four? And,
No.
And both is not an answer.
No, well, don't you sound like my wife and my daughters. Yeah, I want to win them all. You know, I want to win them all. Because, you know,
but had you not lost that game in Cameron, do you think you would have still been in the Final Four?
I don't know that. Yeah, but it's a good point because we had a crushing defeat. And then we responded. It took us a while, and it made us better for the tournament. I agree with that. I would have liked to have had the leadership challenge of winning and getting us tougher and still getting to the Final Four. So I'm not going to answer your question. Okay. I guess is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Thanks so much to Mike Krzyzewski for that wonderful conversation. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to hear about his next play. You can watch my TV interview with Coach K on WRAL.com. Thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with Triangle news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.